All right, let's dive back into the Chronicles of the Misfortunate Bastards. Today, we're hitting the 5th entry, and I'm telling you, this is a huge turning point. Up until now, the party's been dealing with were-rats, some pretty nasty acid-throwing goblins, even a vampire. They're probably feeling like they've got this whole dungeon thing figured out. Well, this is the chapter where they find out just how wrong they are. So after their last adventure, which was, absolutely brutal, the bastards pulled back into their magic safe house, the Silver Key. They've had a chance to rest up, get their spells back, and they are feeling ready to go finish this. And that quote really sets the scene, right? They are literally leaving a place of perfect safety to walk right back into that darkness. Okay, so the party managed to grab a bunch of weapons off the goblins they took down, and they were really, really hoping for some kind of magical upgrade. But nope. Turns out it's all just plain old steel. It might sound like a small letdown, but it's actually a super important detail. It tells us that the goblins they fought so far were dangerous because of their numbers and their nasty little traps, not because they had amazing gear. That is, until now. So not letting that get them down, the bastards push forward into a part of the dungeon they haven't seen before, this huge natural cavern. The source material describes the ceiling being like 40 feet up, just covered in stalactites, and it's eerily quiet. They're on the lookout for goblins, obviously, but the first danger they face, it comes from a place they never even thought to look. That's right. The cavern might have been still, but it was far from empty. See, the party had just walked straight into a predator's hunting ground, and the hunters? They were hiding in plain sight, hanging right over their heads the whole time. And just like that, the dungeon itself attacks them. 3 of these things, these dark mantles, just detach from the ceiling. One second they look like a rock formation, the next they're plummeting down to crush and basically suffocate you. I mean, talk about a terrifying ambush. Who expects the ceiling to fall on them? And this fight is just a nightmare. Garth, the big Goliath barbarian, gets one of these things on top of him and is almost suffocated to death. Indy the rogue gets knocked down, not once, not twice, but 3 separate times in this one battle. Honestly, the only reason they're all not dead is thanks to Mathias, the Cleric. He's just a healing machine, pulling his friends back from the brink over and over again. They make it through, but man, it was by the skin of their teeth. So after that intense experience, they keep going. They move out of the cavern and back into these ancient halls built by dwarfs. And that's when they hear it. Behind a heavy door, they can hear goblin voices, but also something else, something much bigger, something with fur.
But here's the thing, they've learned a few lessons. They don't just kick the door in and charge. No, this time they get clever. Rose the Sorcerer sneaks right up to the door, whispers the words for a sleep spell right through the keyhole, and boom, one of the guards inside is out cold before the fight even starts. Just a brilliant tactical play.
But when they finally burst into the room, what they see is a total shock. These are not the same goblins they've been fighting this whole time. They've gone from fighting this disorganized mob with rusty weapons to soldiers. These guys have quality armor, fine steel weapons, and they actually know how to fight. And that big furry thing? It's a worg, a giant, evil, intelligent wolf. The whole game just changed. So now they have a real problem. Garth's whole go into a rage and smash everything tactic, which has worked great so far, isn't going to be as effective against these armored, skilled opponents. They can't just brute force their way through this one. They have to be smarter. And that's the million-dollar question, right? When you can't just hit it harder, what do? Well, luckily for the Misfortunate Bastards, they have an answer, and his name is Rothan the Wizard. This is where you see magic stop being a sledgehammer and start being a scalpel. See, Rothan doesn't even try to blast through the goblin's armor with something like a fireball. Instead, he points at one of these elite goblins and hits him with a ray of enfeeblement. Now, this spell does 0 damage. What it does is magically drain the target's physical strength, leaving them weak and clumsy. And the result is just perfect. The goblin's best defense, his heavy, protective armor, instantly becomes his worst enemy. It's like an anchor. He's so weak he can barely even stand up, let alone fight back. With one spell, Rothan completely flipped the script and turned the enemy's strength into a crippling weakness. It's an absolutely genius move. So, once the elite goblins are dealt with, the party grabs the survivors, and with Garth doing his best to look terrifying and Toril the Swashbuckler using her sharp tongue, they start asking questions. They know these super goblins didn't just appear out of nowhere. Something bigger is going on here. And what they find out is pretty terrifying. This isn't just a random nest of goblins. This is a goblin army. They're organized, they're well-equipped, and they are all being commanded by some powerful, mysterious leader who's hiding out even deeper in this dungeon. Suddenly, their mission isn't just pest control anymore. It's a decapitation strike. Realizing they are beat up, running low on spells, and just completely unprepared to face the main force, let alone its commander, the party makes the smart call. They use the Silver Key again and get out of there. And this isn't a defeat, right? This is a tactical withdrawal. They need to go back, rearm, and come up with a real plan for the war they just found out they're in. So, the Bastards end this session having survived one of their toughest fights ever. But that victory is completely overshadowed by this new reality. They're not just clearing out a dungeon, they've stumbled onto the front lines of an invasion. And it leaves us all with one massive question. Who is this mysterious leader calling the shots from the darkness? And what in the world is their plan?